Hello there, it's Jay here from Jay's Vintage Junk, and first off, another again, apologies for lack of videos, but I've been rather unwell of recent. I've been rather fatigued. I've not been in any state really to make any videos. But anyway, while I've not been so well, I got a message from GadgetUK. I'm sure if you watch my videos, you're familiar with GadgetUK's work on old computers and stuff like that. And he messaged me saying he got a wooden box with a valve in it. Was I interested in it? And of course I'd be interested in a wooden box with a valve in it. Why not? So I said, yeah, send it my way and I'll take a look at it. He didn't know what it was or anything. Send it my way and I'll take a look at it. So anyway, package arrived today. Well, two packages arrived today for me. And he hadn't just sent me this box, he sent me some other stuff as well, which is quite cool. Which anyway, he sent me this. That's one thing. What it is now, I must have. He apparently he's done a video on this. I'll have to go back and look through his videos because I must have completely missed it. This is a SID to BBC board, so it uses a C64 SID chip and allows you to run it on a BBC micro. I think I've got a few. I've got a few SID chips. He did mention that you could use it with a swing SID, but actually I've got a couple of spare genuine SIDs kicking around. So in the future, that's not for anything I'm going to play with now. Possibly when I've finally finished Mildred's ashtray off, we may have a look at perhaps building that up and having a play with that. But that's not what this video is about. He sent me these. He sent me some power supplies as well, which was rather nice of him because I can always use little brick power supplies for various projects and things. But he sent me that, which is we've got a little Eagle brand signal generator. It's probably, looking at it, late 1960s, possibly early 1970s. It's quite nice, this. I'm actually absolutely over the moon for getting this because look at the size of it. I mean, it's quite small. I do have other signal generators, RF signal generators, but this is an RF and an AF signal generator, so audio frequency and radio frequency. I believe they were quite a cheap set. You know, they weren't like aimed at big companies or anything. They were aimed at like little one-man operations, more advanced hobbyists, that type of a thing. I think you saw these for sale in like the back of Practical Wireless magazine and things like that. I'll have to have a hunt through some of my old Practical Wirelesses and see if I can dig some adverts out. I'm not going to do anything with this on this video today. I was just showing it's another really cool little thing that he's sent me. It's obviously not been used for a very, very long time. Oops, we'll get this untangled. And I will have to find out what voltage this runs on because there's a possibility actually it may be 110 volts. I'm not 100% sure yet. But as you can see, like I said, it's not been powered up for a very, very long time. Looking at the old two-pin plug on it. But let's get to the interesting thing: the wooden box with a valve in it. Ooh. And here it is. This is what GadgetUK sent me. And here's the first really interesting thing about this. I believe it's meant to be flat down on a table like this. I will say, for the video, I've not had a sneak peek in this. You're seeing this as I've basically seen it. I've had a look over it. I found something quite interesting about it. But apart from that, I have not opened this up. I don't know what's inside it. Like I said, we're going to do this on the video between us, and we'll see if we can discover quite what this thing is. There was mention that it may be another signal generator, but I don't know. For the main fact, I can't find any kind of outputs on it. What we've got a wooden box. It's obviously homemade. It's not a commercial product, this or anything. Let me see if I can just stand it up. It's been made. It's been really well made. It's like got a moulding around the outside, so it's obviously meant to sit like this. But we'll just we'll stand it up. I'll see if I can just stick. That'll do. We'll stick that under there so it can. Hopefully you can see that. Unfortunately, I know people have complained about the lighting on my videos, but this is basically a temporary setup I've got in here until I get something else which I'm working on finished, and actually I'm just trying to sort funding out for it because I'm a little bit broke at the moment. Not being basically self-employed and being ill and not being able to do what you do, it really does set you back. But basically, yeah, this is what he sent me. So we've got some controls on the front, interesting toggle switch under a safety switch. We've got two dials. One is a graduated switch, the other one is obviously a potentiometer. We've got a pilot indicator, and we've got this strange door on it. Now this door is interesting because if we open it, it opens part way, and then it is hinged again, and then it opens up fully like that. And we've got a glass, or plastic, I'm not sure it's, I think it is glass, yeah, we've got a piece of glass set in there with another opaque piece of glass set further back from the look of it, and sort of like got a compartment in there. And we've got what I think I can make out as a light bulb. It could be a valve, that could be the valve, but it seems to have some, what appears to possibly be a light bulb behind there. Now, let's come to the, this is the interesting, slightly scary thing. I was chatting with a pal of mine on Skype earlier today about this thing, and he was jokingly saying about being delivered some radioactive box. So, just for a laugh, I got my Geiger counter out, and I was just literally just taking the mic and saying, yeah, he sent me a radioactive box. We switched the Geiger counter on. He sent me a radioactive box. Can you hear that? Can you... Now, don't worry, I'm not worried. The radiation coming off this thing, it's not just in one place. If you look, listen, if I move, I actually think I've just figured out just now what it is. Let's just see. Yeah. Ah. I'll just switch the Geiger counter back off. I've actually just figured it out now. Now this is old. This is probably 1950s or 1960s. Back then, when you were a hobbyist, you probably didn't have a lot of money. What there was masses and masses and masses of on the market was war surplus. There was loads and loads of ex-military stuff. So much so, they used to just break it up for the parts. And I've just spotted it now. It's these switches. They've got a glass crystal in the end of it, and they've got a tiny piece of radium. There's one there, and yeah, if I pull that back there, it's there as well. Yeah, they've got basically a radium locator in the end of the switches there. So these switches are probably aircraft. They may even be World War II, but I pound to a penny. That's what it is. I don't know if I can zoom you in enough to actually show this. Let's give it a quick try. Yes, we can. I'm trying not to move my camera too much for the simple reason I've just laid a laminate floor in this room, and I've just realised that my camera tripod slides all over on it. I've got it kind of like lodged on a towel at the moment, but yeah, that's I've got to be a bit careful with the camera. But can you see that there, right in the end of the switch? That's a little piece of radium in a glass bead. Now, originally, that would have been luminescent. So the idea being, like in a dark cockpit in a like a little fighter aircraft or in a bomber or something, you'd be able to see your switch. It just glow. That would be glowing all the time. Now, over, you know, these must be like 70 years old. These switches then. I don't know when they stopped making radium tip switches. But basically they would have fluoresced all the time. Like I said, over the years, the radium loses its luminescence, but what it doesn't lose is its radioactivity. So, like I said, I'll just grab the Geiger counter again. I won't have it on screen, but you should be able to hear it. We'll bring it back on. So if I bring the probe in now, you just hear the probe there. We're just getting a few clicks. And if I bring it closer to the end of that, and we're getting what? We're getting close to 200 counts per second there, so that's hot. I mean, it's not to worry about. As you can see, as soon as I bring the probe, even, you know, a few inches away, it dies down to a background level. I mean, I'm 2 inches away from the switch there, and I'm at 15 counts per second. I bring it, you know, I'm 12 inches away from it there, and the few clicks you can just hear now, that's just basic background radiation, perhaps just slightly above background radiation. It's nothing to worry about. It's not until I bring the probe virtually into contact with it, look, right over the top of it there. I said we're just bordering on 200 counts per second there, which is hot. We'll switch the Geiger counter off there. I'll zoom you back out, and we'll do what I was intending to do in this video. Let's zoom you out. No, we're not going to be switching. We'll do a Dave Jones, because we're definitely not going to be just switching this thing on. Again, like with the signal generator, we've got a lethal old-fashioned mains cable, which isn't up to modern UK standards. Not that that bothers me, but we've also got a plug which shows that this unit hasn't been powered up for a very, very long time by the look of it. So, as Dave Jones says, don't turn it on, take it apart. I presume Gadget's been in here before, because like I say, he has told me there's a valve inside, but I have not opened this before. So this is going to be done between us together. We'll get it like that. Just to zoom you in a little bit, best I can. Oops. There we go. And hopefully the lighting, like I said, I can't do much more about the lighting. Got a little tiny screwdriver here, because we've got some little tiny screws on the back. I do like the way this thing's been made. Like I said, whoever made this has been, I reckon this was probably made in the 50s or the 60s. Just by the way it's been constructed, just by the, you know, the craftsmanship, really, hobbyist craftsmanship. New stuff, you know, you buy project boxes, plastic project boxes to build things in. This is a wooden cabinet that someone's actually constructed. You know, gone to the trouble of putting edging on it, putting feet on it, painting it all up, making them doors for the front for whichever strange thing that is. Last screw. Okay, and let's have a look what we've got in. Oh, interesting. Now what I can say straight away, these are ex-military. These capacitors. Condenser type. 400 volts working. What the hell is this thing? This is interesting. Right. Well, that was basically loose in the box, but we have got I wonder if that just got bashed loose in the post. It did come Collect Plus, and they're not the most careful of people in the world, but it's nothing's damaged in there. Not that I can see. The valve actually looks in good condition. I've recognised that valve as well. I think it's one of the ones with 2 top caps on it. Let's have a look at the bulb. What have we got? We've got a standard UK. I'm trying to see what wattage it says. I think it's a 60 watt. No, it's not. It's 100 watt. We've got a 100 watt light bulb. So is that a load? Is this some kind of oscillator? It could be some kind of oscillator. This is weird. Look at the construction in here though. I'll tilt it back like that. This is fantastic, whoever built this. Look at the way that the wiring's been done. It's all wire wrapped. So basically, no, sorry, not wire wrapped. It's been loomed. Basically, what whoever built this obviously worked in electronics. This isn't just a basic hobbyist that's built this. If it was, they're a very, very, very talented one. It's lovely and lethal. As you can see in here, with no transformer at all, so it's hot to the mains. It's not not what would say up to code. I wonder if that's what the lamp's for. Is that being used as a dropper? But as I was saying, all the wiring has been done round here, and then it's been laced together with like a string, like a wax twine. That again, that's like a military technique, or like proper like advanced radio stuff. You know, to keep all the wiring really neat and tidy like that. It's oops, hang on, I'm just my drawers, my cupboards are opening. I've still got to put a little catch on my cupboards under here, and they keep opening on me. Let's see if I can just wedge them again. Otherwise, they'll keep moving and keep banging. Right, so let's see what we've got here. Right, we've got the mains coming in through that switch at the front, out the switch. I think it's going through that lamp, so I'm wondering if that lamp's being used as a dropper for the filament for the valve there. It's very simple, this thing. It obviously is some form of oscillator. So we've just got the one valve, we've got some smoothing capacitors. I can't find any rectification at the moment. What the hell's it using as a rectifier? Is that a rectifier? I mean, that looks like another capacitor we've got there. Yeah, that's a presume another capacitor. We might have to disassemble this thing. I'll zoom you back out a bit so you can see more of this thing. But I think we might have something there that we need to obviously remove. Let's find out what the hell it is. It's either another capacitor or I can't see it being the rectifier. It's in the wrong place. I want to find out what rectifier this is using. Or was it designed to run on DC? which is a possibility that this thing was designed to run on DC. I presume it was quite a chunk of DC. And the patience that must have taken to put these things together, because I mean the tools that you had back when this were made weren't exactly the best. I bet things like this have all been made just for this job. Right, what are you? Are you a condenser? Yes. No voltage rating on it. Can't find a date on it either. That would be nice if we could find a date on some of these components. But whatever, unfortunately its voltage rating and its capacitance seem to have been worn off. But it is another condenser block. Quite interesting, it seems to be wired with the pilot bulb there. And then we have another condenser block up here, same type. And then we've, I mean these are I think these will be paper and oil capacitors. They're incredibly reliable things. These are actually probably still in fully working order and they're probably not leaky at all. They tend to be very, very, very reliable. I mean, they did say, you know, do what I want with this thing, so if it does end up as a parts thing, these are, you know, they are nice capacitors, these, very, very nice capacitors. We've got a couple of standard electrolytics in there. At least, is that what the hell is that? Is that a vibrator? That there, I thought was a capacitor, but this is going to be really hard to show. I think it's a vibrator. Basically what a vibrator does is it takes like 12 volts DC and steps it up to a couple of hundred volts DC. Not at a very high current. It's basically they usually used to run like the filaments in sorry, not to run the filaments, to run the HT in various like portable equipment, you know, going back in the valve era. So is this a 12 volt? Is this a 12 volt device? This is getting more and more and more interesting the more I look at it. It's a possibility this thing is designed to run on 12 volts, in which case, you know, we can power the thing up, but what the bloody hell's it for? I'm still none the wiser as to its actual function. Let's pull that valve. See, the problem with it is the way it's been built. So there's no chassis here. Everything's point to point, and you've basically, like I said, you've just got the components like the condensers screwed to little plates or little brackets to the wooden case. That's, I'm presuming, why this is. Yeah, that would have originally. I've just spotted the holes. I presume this has just come free in transit, but that would have originally been screwed to the side like that there. You can see where the holes have pulled out. So that's your basic construction of the whole thing. It's not conducive to it's not conducive to service, I'll say that. Right, I think I might figure this out, possibly. It could be using half that valve as a rectifier. Because this capacitor, this large, I'm guessing, I'm really miffed. I'm really, not miffed, I'm really mystified here. This is such a bizarre thing. If that's a vibrator, which it looks to be, when I look underneath it, I can see it's not a capacitor. It's got mechanical parts in it. I mean, a vibrator is a mechanical device. It basically it uses high frequency switching like that to create a higher DC voltage. It's a dilemma, for the simple fact, to reverse engineer it, the only way I can reverse engineer it is to completely dismantle it, and I don't know whether I could get the whole thing back together again. Like I said, it's rather bizarre. I'm not going to pull it apart. I think I'm going to be doing a part 2 on this, you know, because there's 2 people that I know that may be able to know more about this than me. Certainly one of them. If you go over onto a mate of mine's YouTube channel called Vintage Electronics Repair, he's really into his vintage electronics, but a mate of his called Steve. Now, Steve's really into some of the much older stuff, and I wonder if Steve had a look at this, whether he'd be able to figure out exactly what we've got here, because at the moment it's mystifying me a bit. Like I said, I could just pull it apart for the spares. There's some fantastic parts in here. That Bakelite lamp holder there is really nice. These condensers are really nice, and I'm certain, so I've come across these type of condensers before. They're 70 years old plus, and they're still in full working order. You can still put 400 volts across them and not worry about breakdown on them. There's 3 big, nice ex-military, I'm certain these are ex-military, condensers in there. We've got the vibrator in there, although it is missing its can. It should have a can over it, which is missing, so that's how I could recognise it was a vibrator. There's a smoothing cap there, but that's probably maybe dried up. We've got the valve down there. I'm not 100% sure what it is, but I've certainly seen that kind of valve before. I think it's a dual pentode. I know it has two top caps. I'm not sure if the anodes are on the 2 top caps, so it looks like a little devil type thing with 2 horns sticking out of it. I've got another little signal generator kicking about somewhere. A little kit one. I think it's a Heath kit or a Jason kit or something like that, and that uses one of them as for the oscillator in it. I think that's probably the same valve. Again, I have a feeling if I pulled that valve out, I'd find a CV number on it, which is a military valve type number. In fact, let's just quickly see if we can perhaps just sneak that valve out of there and see if we can see what the valve number on is. But I have a feeling that Steve, is his YouTube channel Steve405 or Steve UK? I can't remember. I'm sorry about that. I'll put the link to his channel in the description anyway. But I think this is something that Steve and Andy are going to have to help me on. We may have to do a bit of a collaboration on this. Unfortunately, it looks like it's lost its valve number. I can't see a valve number written on there, but I'm pretty certain it's going to be something like a dual pentode with the 2 anode top caps on it like that. I'll just zoom you in so you can see that valve a bit better. Oops, wrong way. there, as we can see. Like I said, I can't see. Oh, hang on. I can see it. It's there. It's very, very faded. 10F30, I think it is. 10F something GT. I think that's what it says. It's 10. What could possibly be an F, or it could be something part worn off. Something which is definitely worn off, GT. So it hasn't got a CV number on it. It is a civilian version of. But I have a feeling it's probably going to be like a dual pentode or something like that. And I've come across similar type valves in the past, and they tend to be used as like oscillators, and bigger versions of them can be used as dual pentode output valves in transmitters. We'll see if we can sneak it back in here. The wiring is in a pretty poor state. Obviously it's old rubberized wiring that it's made of, and just moving the thing about, you know, the wiring is just cracking and crumbling to bits. This is old. This is a very old unit. So I have a feeling it was probably put together in the 50s or 60s. Almost certainly using ex-War Department war surplus spares by the look of it. We'll attempt to perhaps screw that back into place and put it back how it should be. And like I said, then I think I'm going to have a word with my mate Andy and Steve. I know they like to have a Sunday tinker, so I might see if I can take this round to Andy's when Steve's over there, and we'll see whether we can possibly make head and a tail out of it. That's if Andy has no objection to have something which is mildly radioactive in his house. I'm just screwing these down because I don't want to lose anything. If I've got to transport it, I don't want anything rattling around like a transformer. Sorry, not a transformer, there's no bloody transformers in this thing. That's what makes it nice and lovely and dangerous. Zoom out a little bit. We'll just see if we can re-secure. Don't know how we'll get the bottom. I don't know how the guy put this thing together. He must have had absolute super dexterity. Let's try tipping it that way. I just want to see if I can put these in, so I don't think they'll bash loose in my transport, because I'm not going to be throwing it around in a box like the couriers do, but that's couriers for you. Right, that's gone in nice and tight actually, that's holding that in place. Suppose we can see if we can get that one in. I don't know how I'd have got that one in first. Might have to forgo that one. There we go. See if we can tighten that up. No. Perhaps I'll leave that one out. Yeah, I think I'll leave that one out. At least the transformer's reasonably secured in there. But yeah. So that is the that's the interesting device sent to me by GadgetUK. So it is most intriguing, especially this. Why would you make? That's obviously what I'll see the light bulb illuminating through. This is what I just find bizarre about it. You know, what is its function? What was the... Anyone got any idea about this? I would be absolutely love to hear your input, because this one's got me absolutely stumped. I can only think that it is some form of oscillator. Like I said, just by the fact it's got that, what I think's like a dual pentode or a dual triode or something like that in it. But why the vibrator? Why the 100-watt? Obviously mains. I presume it's mains. I didn't actually. Does it say on it? I'm guessing it's a mains bulb. It's yeah 250 volts. So that's an old bulb. So it is it's a mains light bulb in there, 100-watt mains light bulb. It's just deliciously interesting. That's all I can say about it at the moment. Like I said, any comments, please do let me know, because it's certainly got me intrigued. But anyway, we'll leave this until, like I said, I'll chat with Andy, I'll chat with Steve and see what they say about it. But we will certainly do a video, because I'm not going to be powering that up. It would be unsafe just to put 240 volts to that. I have a feeling it's possibility that it runs on 12 volts anyway, and we need to do more research, try and figure out what the hell it is. But I will do a video on this nice little unit. We'll see if we can get this up and running. Obviously, again, like I said, this has not been used in a very long time. But it is complete. It looks unmolested. We'll do a quick tear down of it, quick check inside it, see if it's indeed safe to power up, and we'll have a go at firing this up. I might even dig my frequency counter out, and we can see exactly how accurate the dial and what have you on this is. See whether it is going to be worth putting into service, because it's a nice, neat little unit. Obviously, it's no use for FM stuff, but for if you just want to align an AM radio, it's brilliant. It's just what you want, really. It's like I said, it's nice and neat and compact, and it should have everything I want for AM alignment on it. I do have other AM signal generators. I've got a couple of nice ones, but they're quite large, they're quite bulky, they take up a fair bit of space when you're limited on space. I think one of them has a fixed AF output, as where this has got an AF frequency generator built in. It can do tonal generation. Anyway, I'm going to leave it there for now. I hope you enjoyed this little quasi-update, little show and tell on these things that I've picked up from Gadget UK. Massive thanks to Gadget for thinking about me and passing these things on to me. I do have a couple of little bits I'm going to throw his way that would be useful to him. But yeah, awesome little play with, and I didn't know what I was going to expect when I opened it. I certainly wasn't going to expect it to be radioactive in any way, but you know, that's a nice thing. Them switches are really interesting on it. Right, I'm going to leave it there. Like I said, I hope you enjoyed this little update. So thanks for watching, and goodbye.